I've given away cars, I've given away trips, I've given away cash. Do you know what I found moves the dial even more? Telling servers they don't have to wrap silverware.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Local Marketing Lab, where you get real-world insights from industry pros to help you drive local revenue and local growth. This podcast is brought to you by Evocalize, digital marketing tools powered by local data that automatically work where and when your locations need it most. Learn more at evocalize.com. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Local Marketing Lab. Today's guest comes with us with over 25 years of experience in the restaurant space with a really strong focus on marketing. He's been named most influential restaurant executive in the United States by Nation's Restaurant News and recognized as Restaurant Marketer of the Year, or Retail Marketer of the Year, rather, by American Marketing Association. He's a huge Pittsburgh Steelers fan, loves college basketball and college football, and is the CEO of Primanti Brothers. Adam Golomb, welcome to the lab, my friend.
Thanks, Justin. Great to be here. Hopefully by the time this publishes, the Steelers are in the Super Bowl. So lots of excitement perfect. Yesterday with us making the playoffs.
Super cool. Super excited for you. Awesome. Well, and if they do win, maybe you could push out some cool promos or something that. I don't know.
We did send sandwiches to the Tennessee Titans as a thank you. Sent a bunch of sandwiches down there to thank them for helping us get in the Super Bowl or playoffs at least.
I love that. That's one of the reasons why I was so excited to have you on the podcast is because not only are you guys a client of ours, which is awesome, you guys are great to work with, but your brand is hysterical. Like, it is so engaging, and the social content you guys push out and the burns that you guys put out there, I think are so hilarious.
Our social team does an amazing job. Being in the moment, I always say. Some of the stuff, they're playing with the NFL is great, but really being in the moment and being kind of having that witty attitude. I think Wendy's was probably the first one to do it.
Yeah.
We just learning from what they did and happen.
Exactly. They kind of show that, hey, it's okay to be real and have fun and engaging.
I've worked on a bunch of brands in my life, and this is probably the brand I work on that has the least restrictions, which makes it really fun. It's like you're not going to screw things up by having some fun.
I agree. I did a stint of time leading the marketing team over at Polaris for their off-road RZR brand, and it's funny, like the vehicles are so capable, and you could show so many cool things, but the legal team was always like just putting the hamper on things because all the risks and stuff like that. So it's cool to have the freedom to do what you want to do.
I like to call those departments the sales prevention departments. The last brand I worked at, we had lots of sales prevention departments, from legal to risk management to loss prevention. You'd come up with ideas and you'd be like, yeah, it's just not worth it. It's not worth going through 27 hoops to come up with something that by the time you get approval, the moment has gone.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a tough thing. That's one of the things we talk about how we help folks with their marketing. It's like, if you can automate stuff based on very timely things that are happening, then you're able to get in front of clients when the moment is there, as opposed to waiting on an agency or whatever. But not to get too deep into the product stuff of what we do, but I guess if you want, just kick us off with a little bit about your background. Yeah. You talked about working at other brands, maybe kind of how you got to being the leader over there at Primanti Brothers.
Yeah. So, grew up in Pittsburgh, Pittsburgher at heart. Yinzers is kind of the colloquial term for us Pittsburghers. Always had a love for kind of hospitality. My mom worked in it. Went to Johnson & Wales University for hotel restaurant management. Did a startup there with a friend from college. And then after that ended, went to, and that startup, which if you look back was really funny. We were going to be the Amazon.com of cookbooks. Like that was going to be our niche.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Which I don't know. It was a great learning experience, but then went to Penn State for grad school. Got my master's with a focus in hospitality. Joined a company called Eden Park Hospitality Group, which was At that point, I think they had 80 restaurants, but they also were just emerging into some new adventures and some new ventures into contract food service. And I spent 13 years there in marketing. Ultimately, ended up building a e-commerce and a wholesale cookie business. The company has got this famous cookie, but we had a cookie manufacturing plant, so we realized we could build a whole direct-to-consumer e-commerce business. Left there after 13 years, joined Giant Eagle, which is a $10-11 billion grocery and convenience retailer. So quite a difference from coming from a couple $100 million company to $10-11 billion dollars. But started in marketing there, working on their new ventures team. So once again, a company trying to expand into convenience stores, which really restaurants at that point was like, how do you become a restaurant? High-end grocery. We also had discount grocery, beer, wine, liquor, e-commerce. So led the marketing group there. Multiple rounds of layoffs. Later, I ended up running product development for the company. And then my last stint there was running one of the largest gift card marketplaces in the country. Did over $1 billion in gift card sales. So it was when the music stopped, I was the only one that understood how the business worked. So I was like, well, Adam can run it.
Yeah.
But it was great to run a $1 billion business from a P&L standpoint, have full ownership over it. And then got to go work at Primanti Brothers, a brand I grew up with, a brand I probably had when I was like 5 years old and fell in love with. It's a Pittsburgh icon and came in 2018 to rethink the growth strategy for the organization and worked on that. And then something called the pandemic showed up in 2020. All those great playing. I think Mike Tyson says, what does he say? Everything's great till you get hit in the face. Well, that was
everybody's got a plan.
We had a great plan and great strategy, and had invested heavily in tech. And we, going into the pandemic, we kind of looked like the most brilliant guys, but anything but. But the pandemic really taught us a lot of things. We spun up 3 virtual brands during the pandemic pretty fast. We saw what Chili's was doing. Is like, okay, let's go do that. And then I ended up taking over operations and supply chain at some point in the pandemic. And then in 23 became CEO of the organization. So it's been roughly a year and 2 weeks, I think. So
very cool.
Yeah. No, it's a great brand. We have 45 restaurants today. We've got 4 more adding this year, so we'll be up to 49. We operate in 4 states. We jokingly say we're almost famous. That's kind of a humble brag, but it is a famous brand. When you say you explain it and you say a lot of people know it. It's won a James Beard Award. I mean, go figure. The sandwich with fries and coleslaw wins a James Beard Award. We've been on you name it national show. It's an amazing brand that every day I get the pleasure of leading a team here that this is our 91st year of business. Go name how many restaurants there are 91 years old. So,
crazy.
Yeah. So no, it's a lot of fun and eat a lot of sandwiches.
Yeah. You eat them every day?
Not every day, but enough that my doctor asked to my cholesterol is perfectly fine and everything. But he's like, how many times do you eat there again? Because I think I read an article. in the paper that said you're eating there 4 to 5 times a week. And I'm like, yeah, something like that. But we got a broad menu, more than just sandwiches. So you can.
Yeah. There's variation. So let me ask you this. So I've never been to a location. Unfortunately, you guys don't have one in Charlotte, I don't believe.
No, Charlotte yet.
So, but what I love is, watching your content, your videos and stuff online, your interaction with your guests is so hysterical. Like they come to Primanti for the experience of the sarcasm and just throwing it at the servers and it comes back to them. Is that something that's always been there?
It has. So, the first thing is we don't call our customers guests, we call them fans. And that's really the goal. These raving fans. So, I've worked in so many, it's like when you work at so many retail and restaurant chains, you got like all these terms in your head spinning around, but fans I absolutely love. But yeah, it really was cool. Like the first location opened in 1933 kind of had this attitude of like, they'd come to the table and you'd be like, they'd say, okay, what do you want? And you'd be like, oh, I don't know. And they'd be like, okay, I'm gone. Or, they would say, we jokingly say when people say, I don't want fries and slaw, and that we're like, yeah, okay, there's the door, get out.
Yeah.
There's a great clip of Jimmy Fallon and JJ Watt. I love JJ Watt, but he is the only Watt brother that didn't play for the Steelers, so shame on him. But Jimmy Fallon and JJ Watt, and Jimmy Fallon's telling this, JJ's talking about coming to Pittsburgh to visit his brothers, and Jimmy's telling the story about going there going to Primanti's for the first time. And, he asked for stuff on the side and they were like, yeah, there's the door, get out. Really, that probably is. So it's, you don't take things seriously. I always say, not only are we unrestricted from PR, we're unrestricted with our people. We tell our people to come as they are. I say the more tattoos and piercings, the merrier. And we really allow our people to come as who they are by not being restrictive and being prescriptive. You look at, there are certain chains that are super prescriptive and super have all these requirements and check this and you got to do this and you got to do that. And as a server, you got to approach the table like this, and we're the exact opposite. And I think that's why people, we have a large group of people that really like working for us for that reason.
Yeah, you create not only your loyal fans in your guests, but also in your employee base, because
100%.
you're willing to give folks a shot that other people may not. And what's funny is,
I had a server the other day that there is no way any restaurant chain that other than us probably would touch this guy, but he was phenomenal. And the way he approached the table and the way he interacted, and he knew the menu, and he was, this is people from out of town, and the way he made suggestions and the way he took care of us, it was great. So what? He has crazy hair and tattoos and a piercing.
It doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Yeah, Starbucks is probably the first to really embrace that. I think when you think about it, he was out there doing it early on.
And if you think about just from purely an operation standpoint, if you think about how small the hiring pool is today, like post-pandemic, it's so hard to bring in not only employees, period, but good employees. And there's a pool of employees that is just untapped resource, and those that are like you're explaining right now. Other folks may not give them a shot, but they're incredible at their jobs.
They are.
Like, give them a chance.
Yeah. It's a tough market. I think that the pandemic taught people that they can stand in an Amazon warehouse and make more money, or make equal to being a cook. So like, I'm going to stand, I might as well, maybe I stand with Amazon. Before the pandemic, you didn't have those challenges of people competing. People weren't deciding between Home Depot and a restaurant. Now they are. People weren't deciding between driving an Uber and working in a restaurant. Now they are. But it's, I've been through, this is my called fourth hiring crisis in my life. They're all the same. You just got to get better. You got to be a better place to work. You got to offer better benefits. You got to pay better. There's staff out there. You just got to hunt them down.
Well, when you create an experience, like this show is mainly focused on marketing, right? And engaging with your local audience and creating that experience that you guys do brings people coming back. Like, the most expensive marketing you can do is acquisition and bringing them there for the first time. But if they have an awesome experience, bringing them back, like it's so cheap. You're creating a raving fan base and just a loyalty that's undying compared to other brands.
Flip side, a bad experience, like how do you win people back, is always a challenge.
Because people might come in not realizing what they're going to get in terms of the sarcasm, like a healthy serving
it's
of
not
it.
Like Dick's Last Resort or at the Bavec. It's not that level, but we tell our people, here's how we think you should approach the table, high level. And I jokingly, one of our best, we call our general managers head coaches, one of our best head coaches. He jokingly will see somebody in a Patriots jersey and be like, yeah, we don't serve Patriots fans here. And he's just good at it. And people are like, wait, what? And he's like, no, we don't serve Patriots fans in that. They'll start turning around. He's like, I'm kidding. Come on. Let me get you a table. But it's like that emotional.
It is. It's something that's very unique to the Northeast too. Like I grew up in Buffalo area. That's where I'm from. And first 20 years of my life. So I definitely have some sarcasm in a lot that I do. And I just love it. And it creates like real moments with folks to be able to connect with them as a person, as opposed to you're just turning tables,
Yeah.
So given all your years in the restaurant space and specifically focusing on local marketing, like what do you think is the most impactful thing that someone can do from a local marketing standpoint?
Yeah. So, my first gig out of grad school was field marketing. And back then we're just developing programs to help general managers figure out like what can they do in a 3 to 5 mile radius. So employee discount programs, church programs, car dealer programs, dine and donates. And I look 25 years later and what are we building? Church programs and car, same thing. it's really what I found to be the most successful is to give tools to the general manager so that they can execute against that are easy, because GMs are not salespeople. Many of them aren't. They're usually, a lot of them come out of the kitchen. So, my experience, but our top GMs are great at knowing what's important in their community. So Dine and Donates continue to be an unbelievable success. We still generate a ton of business off Dine and Donates. And it's a great way to use somebody else's equity. So if you're a member of the PTO or you support your kid's soccer team, well, all of a sudden you're going to come to Primanti Brothers to support their soccer team, and you maybe just learn a new thing. On top of that, we do a tremendous amount of digital advertising. We do very little traditional advertising, mostly digital. The pandemic pushed us there super fast. And the tools nowadays to not only get to the right person, but to track if they actually came in the door is unbelievable. It's like what I dreamed of 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's like, it really is. You think like, man, how do we do this without these tools? But it is incredible to see the actual attribution, if you have your system set up right.
Yeah, I just don't get, I know a lot of chains still use TV. It's like, how are you figuring out if that works?
Seriously.
Yeah.
Or it's like or they just have like buckets of money to burn.
Yeah. The Applebee's of the world have buckets of money to burn, the Olive Gardens of the world. So, yeah, I think local marketing, corporately managed digital is still huge. And then the next level down is giving tools. We don't have field marketers. So we give our people tools to help them drive their business, be it catering, be it, how do you drive business from a mall? If you're in a mall, how do you drive business if you're freestanding? We do a lot of fun things with grand openings, and make sure a restaurant opens successfully. A lot of buzz, a lot of PR. We do this thing called the First 100, where the first 100 people to line up get free sandwiches for a year, and it's usually like 200 people. Don't tell anyone, because no one wants to be number 101 after sleeping out all night in 20-degree weather.
Yeah.
But that's a great buzz tool and creates, media connection day one with our fans.
That's a really cool idea.
Yeah, and it's fun. You see people dancing in the parking lot. 3 a.m. Yeah. Name another.
And all these things. Exactly. When you have these like activations like that, then you get your marketing team out there, capture the content, and just be able to kind of sweat that asset for weeks and weeks. Yeah,
our team does a great job with, having buckets and buckets of content. We've got pillars that we work off of from a content standpoint, and it's all about promotion or social media, promoting yourself, because that's not what it's about. It's about being, as I said at the beginning, being kind of in that moment in time and talking about what's important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. If you had one piece of advice to give someone who's maybe struggling a little bit at the local level, just trying to drive traffic, trying to drive, increased tickets, like what would you say that they could do today or sometime this week to start turning that around?
Yeah, I think 2 things. The short term is run a sales contest with your people. I felt, I've given away cars, I've given away trips, I've given away cash. Do you know what I found moves the dial even more? Telling servers they don't have to wrap silverware.
Really?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's like, or scratch and win tickets. It's like, holy cow, I wish I had known that before I gave away 3 cars.
You gave away cars and then found that the silverware is more effective.
The same thing by telling servers they don't have to wrap silverware. But we do a lot of contests. We get GMs compared, going against restaurants going against restaurants. There's definitely that. But like, if you can get if you can sell 1 more dessert today, like that's easy stuff. The second thing I always recommend is go talk to your staff. A lot of times our GMs don't, we love when our head coaches live in the community, but go talk to your staff because they all live in the community usually, and ask them like, okay, what's important? Who do they know? And how can you activate sales? So Dine and Donate's an easy thing to do. Catering, we've built an unbelievable catering business just through that. But ask people like, okay, what's important in the community? What's going on? Oh, there's a Little League tournament down the street. Okay, well, go make food and bring it down the street.
Yeah.
But use your staff. GMs our GMs don't need to be the person always being the sales driver. Sometimes it's a server, it's a greeter, it's a cook or a prep cook wants to be that person in the community. They're better in the community than you'll ever be.
100%. And give people the ownership, the feeling of ownership over the success of that location, and it'll surprise you in terms of how much everyone will step up, not only just from the fan engagement, but also like content creation or whatever it might be. Like, just give more freedom to do things, and you'll drive some positive impacts.
Yeah.
So who do you think is doing some really cool stuff from a local marketing perspective, if you could give somebody a shout out?
I mean, beyond the regulars that I hear on your show all the time, I think what I like is the model, and I'll use Texas Roadhouse probably as the example, where they have these operating partner models where the general manager is actually a partner in the business. I'm really interested in that model because I think it gets a highly invested person where they've put their own into the business and they're operating like called a franchisee, but they're not a franchisee. They're an owner of that business. I think that's where you have a real win. So I'm seeing more and more of that. I think that's really interesting. I think also these direct to consumer models, understanding how they're getting, what they're doing, especially the ones that have like local people, I'm seeing more and more of these models, and they're not multi-level marketing schemes, but where somebody locally is getting, they're responsible for a territory and they're pushing it and growing it. I think there's a lot to learn there. Apply to a restaurant. Like, how do you get somebody so invested in it that they're willing to, talk about it on their own Facebook page and get their friends together? Yeah, I think Texas Roadhouse, one of the best operators out there. But when you drill into that, is it the Texas Roadhouse corporate structure, or is it the fact that they've got these people that are invested in their unit and run it like they own it?
It's a very interesting model because it kind of goes back to our conversation earlier about when you're giving people a chance that may not otherwise have gotten a chance. And these folks, if they become very loyal employees, and you give them an opportunity to work their way up and have a potential ownership stake in the location, it's an opportunity they may not get anywhere else. And it's like that type of opportunity is going to keep folks around.
Name another industry where you can go from being a dishwasher to make it six figures in a very short period.
I don't know any other industries where you'd be a dishwasher.
Yeah, but name another industry that will take people that have trouble in their background and will help them get a career and build a career, and build a life for their family. I don't know of any other ones. That's what I love about the restaurant industry. We're one of the few industries out there that can take people from making $8 an hour to making $100,000, and we promote people on performance, not on tenure. So I tell that when I'm out recruiting on campuses, I tell people, like, you can be a head coach for us in 12 to 18 months if you perform well, and you can be making six figures. Who else is recruiting on this campus that's saying that? Walk me through, guys, come on.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, I don't think anyone else here is talking that language. Hotel chains are, and I've got friends that took them 15 years to be GMs of a hotel, and they're top performers. So I think that's what's great about the restaurant industry.
Yeah, for sure. And the more you expand, the more the more loyal your employees are, the more they'll drive customer fan engagement. The quicker you'll expand, the more opportunities you'll create for your employees, and it's just a rolling snowball. We
always say if you're not growing, you're dying, because that is true. Because growth means opportunity for people. So we're going to open 4 restaurants this year. That's 4 head coaches. When we add 4 to 6 restaurants, that's another operations director. And we promote from within. So those are opportunities for people.
100%. No, that's awesome. I love what you guys are doing over there. We'll jump into the next section here, and we'll talk a little bit about your facts about yourself. So as you know, we take those facts, we dump them into AI.
I've been waiting for this one because I'm waiting to see what you guys put together. Because I threw some weird ones out.
There are some weird ones. You told me that your favorite band was Bare Naked Ladies, and needless to say, I was not throwing that into AI.
I think I even said that. I said the band. Huge fan of them. Traveled throughout the country. I'm with a good friend from college. We try to get to a show every year somewhere in the country.
Oh, that's so cool! Yeah, they were awesome.
Yeah,
are they still around?
Oh yes, I saw them last summer, and I'm seeing them this summer. So,
fun.
25 years, I think they've been on the road. They're just... Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
One guy, I don't know if he retired or what, but the rest of the band's the same.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that you told me about is that you liked Incredible Hulk. And to me, I literally, you sent that info over a couple weeks ago. I had some deadlines and I dropped like everything and got completely distracted because I thought this is exactly what AI was made for.
An incredible.
Like, I want to turn people
holding bare naked ladies.
No.
Did you watch it as a kid? Did you watch the show as a kid where what was it? Lou Ferrigno was
Ferrigno.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
It was so bad. You watch it now, it's like, how did his makeup? It looked like they just dumped flour in his hair and like.
Yeah, it didn't age well. So.
No, it didn't.
That's brilliant.
But I saw this. I was like, man, this is pretty fun to make.
That's great.
Awesome. Well, hey, Adam, it was a ton of fun having you on the show. Why don't you, before we head out, just let us know how people can follow you, how your fans can get in touch with you.
Yeah, I mean, Primanti Bros is our handle everywhere. It's like our short lingo. So, we're heavy on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Adam Golomb on LinkedIn. I try to post like once a month if I have a chance, but it's usually Primanti's content. But always anybody has any questions, needs advice. I think that's what's great about this industry. I know Julie Wade. I heard your episode with her. I had a question. Yeah. I hit her up on LinkedIn. She immediately shared with me the vendor she's using, which was like, cool. I need to go hunt that down. So I think that's what I love about the restaurant industry. Huge industry. I think it's the second largest industry in America after the federal government. But it's such a small industry that you can, two degrees of separation, you pretty much can get touching anyone. And people are very sharing. So anybody has any questions, advice they need, LinkedIn is always place I'm on.
I love that. Yeah, it's an industry where everyone has an opportunity to succeed, and it's not a zero-sum game. It's like literally the rising tide will raise all ships. It's a really cool place to be. So
yeah, if you're looking for good laugh, good banter, our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, always PrimantiBros.com is always our social team does an amazing job of just being in the moment.
I will give a shout out to Ryan Wilkerson and his team. I will say your social is very good. So if you get a chance, if you're listening, check them out on their different channels. Also, if you're in the area, Adam, if you're mainly in the Northeast, but you're down in Florida as well, right?
Yeah, the two in Florida are licensing, but they still serve. It's a great guy, Pittsburgh guy, predates me. But the little known secret on our social media is our head of social media is a Cleveland Browns season ticket holder. Don't tell anyone. Don't tell the Browns because I think they'll pull his season tickets for the banter we always have. But no, I mean, we've got a great team. We allow ideas to anyone any ideas come from anywhere. I think the biggest thing is we react fast and don't have a lot of restrictions. So it makes it very easy to come up with something that's happening in the moment and jump right into the conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Well, if you're in the Northeast, check out Primanti Brothers.
Have a sandwich right behind me. They're slightly smaller than this, but you will. You hear French fries and on a sandwich doesn't sound good. Let me tell you, it's amazing. Brilliant idea.
Very cool. Well, awesome. Again, Adam, thanks so much for joining us in the lab. It was a ton of fun.
Thanks, Justin. Have a great day.
As always, thanks for joining us in the Local Marketing Lab. This podcast is brought to you by Evocalize. To learn how Evocalize can help you grow your business, visit evocalize.com. If you learned something new from today's episode, don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook at Evocalize. That's EVOCALIZE. And on X at Evocalize Inc. And remember, keep innovating and trying new things. You never know what's going to connect with your audience until you try. And until next time, thanks for listening.